Tyler, our next guest, two of the best things in the world.
Yes.
Wine and paint.
Not mixed together necessarily, but you can paint while drinking wine. Let's just clarify that. Don't mix paint and wine.
We all need to get out of our homes, get together with some of our friends, and get creative to help us reduce the stress from everything that we've been through over the past year. And there is a great place to be able to do that, and that is Board and Brush. It's in Sylvan Lake. We're excited to have the owner on, Dee Sloan, with us here on the MegaCast. Thanks for taking time to be with us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So, because I know you're right there on Orchard Lake next to the car wash. So I'm always looking, because were you closed for a good portion of the COVID?
On and off. When there were certain restrictions, we closed because it made sense. There were times that were open with a much smaller capacity. So we did have two times where we were closed for a pretty substantial length of time.
So with that, what's it been like for you as a business owner to try to manage your business throughout this pandemic?
I mean, it's definitely been incredibly challenging. I'm a business owner and also a mom of two. So my youngest was in preschool the whole time in person, but my daughter had the half days throughout the whole school year. So it was some of the time it was a blessing because I could focus on that part of my life. But there's the other side of running the studio that became a challenge when when we had to close or shut down or have the smaller group. So definitely it had its set of challenges, but we're still here.
You're still here because you guys opened up, not long before the pandemic, right?
Yeah, just shy of a year before the pandemic.
So your new business opening up, it became very popular, places such as yours. So with that, how is business going now?
It's month to month right now. It's still, it's kind of unpredictable. So we'll have a strong month and then we followed up by a slower month. So that's correlated a lot to rises in COVID cases and then falls of that. And then we're now here in our summer months, which are typically our slower time of the year anyway. We're an indoor facility, so people in the summers in Michigan love to be outdoors. So usually summers are our slower time of the year, but then come September, once kids are back in school and the weather starts to shift, that's when we start picking back up. So I think that will be like the true test to see, if we've rebounded from where we were in our first year. So that would be, year 3 for us at that point.
So Dee, I'm looking at like the flower box and the s'mores box right there with you. So super adorable. Do people have to be artistic?
No, not at all. You can come in and you can be the least artistic person. You're guided step by step with one of our instructors, and we use stencils, so that's how you can get the nice clean lines and the design painted onto the boards. So all you have to do is come in ready to have fun and listen, and you guys will be able to walk out with something like this.
See, and then you could say, Tyler, look what I made.
Exactly. I'm an artist.
It's like, art camp.
Absolutely. We get customers who, have come in and made multiple projects for their own home, but they just love the experience of making something. And they can always find a great excuse, a teacher at the end of the school year, a wedding shower, actual wedding, just different events in people's lives that we see customers coming back time and time again to create with us.
And it really is a good gift because it's, you can make it personal. And so it will mean something more to the person receiving it other than just, going to Home Goods or TJ Maxx.
Absolutely. That's what we say. Like, these are homemade. They're made from the heart. So you give that extra personal touch. And then a lot of our projects have customizations with like last names and children's names, things like that. So we find it doesn't matter how old you are. If you still have a parent alive, they love homemade gifts from their kids just as much as somebody, maybe in my stage of life who has a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old. And I, cherish those gifts. So we find that some of the customers who make them for their parents then come back together because they've loved, getting the gift from their child and want to come experience it with them.
Dee Sloan with us here on the MegaCast. She's the owner of Board and Brush in Sylvan Lake on Orchard Lake Road. And with that, Dee, how does this work? Is it, do you go in, do you pick the project, or is it just a free-for-all?
So we either have public or private events. So either way, all of our customers pre-register. So they would go onto our website. It's still like they were booking a public event. They would go onto our website. They would select the day that they wanted to create with us, one of the days that we have a class in the studio. And then it's basically like online shopping from there. They would go on our gallery, pick out what projects they're going to make. They'd add it to their cart, add any of the personalizations that the project might require, and then they check out. So once they've checked out, they've paid at that point, their seats reserved, and the day of, they just show up. They can bring their beverages of choice and come create with us.
We know so many businesses went virtual through the pandemic. Did you do anything via Zoom or online?
Yeah, we did. We had some, we offered some Zoom classes. So it was mostly to private groups, and we would prep some of their materials in advance, and somebody from their group would come pick it up, and then we would Zoom with the rest of their group. So this would be an example of another type of thing that we did through the pandemic, this Hope sign right here. We had a huge gallery, probably 100 or 200 options of at-home kits. So they were ones that customers could order online and then pick up here, and they were smaller size projects that they could create at home.
And with that, Dee, do you think that that's going to stick around, or are people just excited to get back in person?
I think both. I think it opens up an opportunity for larger groups that we couldn't fit in a space like this, especially ones that might have reasons why they can't all gather at the same time or be at the same place at the same time. So, for instance, like a work group that maybe has members of their team scattered. That's or we have like an elementary school that wanted to have a way for students to connect. So some were virtual, some were in person, and they did a Zoom and made a similar type of project like this during that Zoom call, so that the students could have a time to connect with each other. So that was a really fun experience.
What made you want to open up this business? Are you creative to begin with?
I am. I always have been creative and just love creating. I wouldn't say like I'm not an artist, so I wasn't ever going to be, Picasso or anything like that. But I've always been creative, so I just love working with my hands and starting a project start to finish and seeing what I've accomplished and what I've made. So really wanted to share that, and was in the corporate world for a long time and ready to do something completely different from that. So and then here I am.
So how's it been going? Are you happy you made the move?
I am. I mean, I love it. It's, owning your business comes with its own set of struggles and challenges, but I am definitely happy. I never walk into work now and don't want to be here. I'm always enjoying my time, and I like creating with customers and seeing how excited they are to make something that some of the administrative side of stuff isn't my favorite, but any job we're going to do, we're going to have sets of things that we love to do and other things that are going to be things that we rather hand off to somebody else if we could.
Isn't that the truth? Dee Sloan with us here on the MegaCast. She's the owner for Board and Brush in Sylvan Lake. And so how does this typically work if you get like a group of girlfriends or a group of coworkers and then they pick a time, or do you have set times?
Yeah. No, we don't really have set times. We're pretty flexible. It's depending upon availability of staffing and group size. And so usually customers will call with the date that they're looking for. We'll check to make sure that we have that time and date available. And from there, we are able to usually host a variety of groups. So once we're back to full capacity, we can host groups up to right around 30 people. We've been on smaller capacity until this, I think next week is when those capacity restrictions are lifted.
As a business owner, it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride trying to keep up with the restrictions and what to do here and what to do there. And
yeah.
You need a mask, you don't need a mask. So how has that been for you in navigating this world of restrictions?
It's been interesting. Most customers have been pretty compliant with the rules and regulations, and respectful of that. We want to make everybody comfortable in our space. So it has, there's been times where we can't make everybody happy, but we're going to follow the rules that are put into place because that's what society expects of us right now, and we want to do the right thing. So there's been challenges with it, but I'd say overall it's been relatively smooth in that regard. I've heard of other businesses, large and small, had a lot more challenging situations than I've been presented with during this.
So with that, Dee, I'm on the website, wine, paint, and wood signs. That's right up my alley. Tell us more about that.
So our main medium we use is wood. So customers will, like I mentioned earlier, select a project they want to make. They're going to come in and you're going to start with raw materials. So none of this is going to be stained. It's not going to be sanded. You are going to come in and do all the work while we guide you through the steps. So you're going to be really hands-on of sanding this and staining it and applying the stencils and painting and whatever finishing touches your project might include. And during that time, it doesn't have to be wine. It can be whatever your beverage of choice is. Some people will come in with their coffees. Other people will come in with their wine or beer or whatever beverage they might like, and just enjoy a night out, especially after the last year plus that we've all been through.
Right. So go ahead and be honest. Have you seen some people leave and their stuff is just terrible? You're like, they weren't paying attention at all.
Oh, boy.
Very rarely. Those are the ones I use as examples as to what not to do. So in hopes that doesn't happen again. So, there's been from time to time something that's come up, but we are usually able to help correct those things like in the moment or after the fact. If it's, so that we want everyone to leave happy with the project that they've made.
With that, Dee, we always ask so many of the business owners, has there been a silver lining for you and your business through this pandemic?
I would say the silver lining is that, that I had my own business during this. I don't know what it would have, the last year and a half would have looked like if I was still in the corporate world and trying to, be a mom during all of this as well. So it's given me that flexibility, and that is something I'm super grateful for. It is also, it's allowed me to manage my own schedule through all of this and be available for when I needed to be for school or whatever it might be for my children during this. And so I think that that's been like the huge silver lining. And then also the support of like the community and friends and customers throughout this too. We've had some fantastic customers and neighborhood response to helping support us during this time.
Yeah, and that comes with being in a small community like Sylvan Lake.
Yeah, I could never imagine another community to live in. It's a super supportive community. It's wonderful, very close-knit, and that's another one of the groups that, we did a big Zoom with a bunch of the neighborhood ladies during this, and have had support, along the way from lots of people within our community.
That's great to hear. Dee Sloan with us, the owner of Board and Brush in Sylvan Lake. We're happy to see that you have survived because, like I said, I've been by there so many times and it was still closed, and it was like, it's adorable. Your shop is absolutely
Thank you.
Adorable. And so with that, if people want to find out more information, how can they do so?
They can follow our social media accounts for like latest information on what kind of classes we're offering. We do more than just the woodwork specialty classes as well. So on Instagram or Facebook, Sylvan Lake Board and Brush. And then also you can go to our website. It's boardandbrush.com/Sylvan Lake. You can see our calendar. You can contact us directly from there. And you can even just browse our gallery and see what different type of project offerings we have.
Well, it's been great talking to you. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me on.